بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وتالله لأكيدن أصنامكم بعد أن تولوا مدبرين فجعلهم جذاذا إلا كبيرا لهم لعلهم إليه يرجعون صدق الله العظيم. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bihamdihi ta'ala, with the blessings of Allah Almighty, we are right now in another Friday session, and we should really be thankful to Allah Almighty that He has given us to attend another Jumatul Mubarak and to say prayer before Him. So previously we were discussing about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, that how did he interact with his nation, which was involved in idol worshipping, and they were not true believers. So in order to guide them, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam attempted to convince them that idols are not their real Lord worth worshipping. Moreover, we also explored that Ibrahim's nation was a believer that stars are also their lords. Stars worth worshipping. Stars are something which really bring benefits to them. This was their belief. And in previous session we discussed that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam demonstrated. He has shown to them with examples that neither stars, nor moon, nor the sun, nor anything which is on the heavens has the power to move anything in this world. It is only coming from Allah Almighty, who has the power to create us from nothingness. And He is the real and the true Lord. He is the real God worth worshipping. So rather than bowing down before their stars, it's better, and it is the only path that is left before us, is to bow down before the true Lord, which is Allah Almighty. So to continue with that discussion, when the answer was not positive, when the nation did not answer positively, when the nation in general did not say yes to the call of Ibrahim alayhi salam, they did not argue anything at all, they did not reason anything at all. Instead of reasoning, they took shelter under the rubric of the expression that this is how we found our forefathers doing it. This is how I found my father and the grandfather and the grand-grandfather to be doing so. And whatever my grandfathers and whatever my grandparents they were doing, they were all doing correct. So you can observe easily that rather than getting into rational arguments, rather than getting into something which was worth remembering, getting into a conversation, they relied absolutely on the customary practice. And they say that, look, from our childhood to our adulthood, we have found our parents to be doing these idol worships. So therefore, we are not supposed to be denying that, the practices of our forefathers. So this was the response of the nation of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So then he comes up with something else. And he wanted to really convince the people so that they could be convinced to worship Allah Almighty alone. And there shouldn't be any polytheistic, there shouldn't be any shirk at all in them. So in order to convince them, and in order to do them a rational trick, in order to explain to them, illustrate before them that, look, why do I say that there is only one Lord? Why do I say that there is only Allah Almighty worth worshipping? Because it has a reason, and you should notice that reason. So for example, if my talk to you is not helping you to understand what is the point behind that, so I can show you by example. I can demonstrate before you that, look, this is how the things are. So what he chose is that he, one day when his nation was not around, they were busy somewhere, they had a festival, so the entire nation was busy there, and silently he goes to the temple and he sees in the temple so many idols, and he starts breaking them one by one. And when he left with the last one, who was the largest one, who was the big one, he actually took his axe and hung around the neck of that, and then he comes back. Now, when the nation comes back and they saw the temple, and the nation saw that all their idols, the false idols, they were broken down into pieces, and there was only one, the bigger idol that was there. So they instantaneously thought that there must be something wrong. There must be some mischievous guy who has done that. And they started searching. And somebody told them that, yes, this talk I heard from a guy by the name of Ibrahim, to try to get them. So when this news spreads across the nation and the society, so Ibrahim is requested to come before the people. So when Ibrahim comes there, and then he was inquired that, were it you who did that all? He declined, and he said that, no, you better ask your Lord. He is the elder Lord. He is the bigger one. And you better ask him rather than asking me, because he is your Lord, number one. He is the bigger one. He must be knowing what happened before these lords, and when you were off the town, when you were busy in your festival, when you were not there. So since you were absent from the scene, you can ask your God, because God is someone who is great, who has knowledge, who has control, who has power over everything. So if you really know what does it mean by God, you better ask your bigger God. And that was a rational response. And when they reflected, they recognized that this is a plot constructed by this guy, Ibrahim. And they replied him that, look, Ibrahim, we all know that this guy or this idol, he cannot do anything. He is helpless. They cannot move. They are inanimate. They can't move. They can't think. They can't observe. They can't talk. For example, if we come in conversation with them, they won't be able to answer us. And you know that. And you're playing with us. Then Ibrahim said that, look, this is what I was trying to tell you. That you're believing in idols, false God. These are not real God. These are fake gods. And it is the job of your religious administrators, your religious preachers, who have taught you wrong, who have told you wrong, who have unnecessarily created fear in your heart and in yourself, that you better bow down before these false lords. And this is what my entire mission was right from the beginning, that to convince you that these are false gods. These are not true gods. These are not real gods. And what is my reasoning? My reasoning is right before you. There is no need to reflect more upon that. There is no need to think about more things about it. It's a simple, solved equation right before you that, look, you believe in these idols to be true God. I said that these are false gods. Why do I say that? Because they do not have any control. They can neither listen to you, your prayers, your requests, your situations. They cannot put themselves in your situation. They don't have any idea what the human beings are going through. Number one. Number two, if you go to pray them, they won't be able to listen to you. If you do go to them and complain them, they won't be able to help you. They can't even help themselves to protect themselves from the dangers of the outside who can come and smash them and break them into pieces, and they cannot defend. They cannot stop themselves. They cannot. So beings who cannot defend themselves effectively, who do not have even the power to talk, to say what they believe or to say what they want to say, you cannot believe in them to be the true Lord. And this is what my mission was, and this is what I have demonstrated. Now, for a simple mind person, the situation is quite clear. The situation seems to be very, very clear that, look, every time I go to my Lord, which is a false Lord right now because before Ibrahim AS, and he presents with sacrifices. He's coming up with the meat, with the flesh, with the chicken, with the good, let's say, good drinks, good everything, the best of the best, presenting gold, silver, dollars, millions and billions. And at the end of the day, when you recognize that they are not able to hear, they are not able to see, they can't defend themselves, and forget about this thing that they might be ever able to help us in the situations of the tribulations. They might not be able to help us in the need of the hour. How can they be the true Lord? So that was the question, and this was very simple. But what was the response? What was the response of his nation? And this is the point of reflection. This is the point of thinking. This nation replied with the bad way. And what was the bad way? They did not listen to the rational talk. They did not bother themselves to think about what Ibrahim is trying to present. They thought themselves to be endangered by the power structure that they have been given by their forefathers. They thought that if they deviate from the traditional practices and the rituals that have been handed down to them from their forefathers, if they stay away from it, if they abandon it altogether, they will have no life. They would have no power and luxury. For that matter, they decided that they are not going to listen to Ibrahim a.s. and they would rather defend themselves. This is called biased opinion. This is called rigidity. This is called extremism. This is called something which is not intellectual. This is something which is called irrationality. And this is what we need to understand is that Islam came for. You know, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam has repeatedly stated this thing, that I am bringing this religion, the religion of Islam, and it says nothing but what Ibrahim alayhi salam spoke about, what Ibrahim alayhi salam defended, what his generation defended. And Islam is a religion which is based on rational beliefs, which is based on human understanding, which is based on the true beliefs. But if, for example, anybody denies that, if somebody says that they have their false lords, so that has to be shunned, that has to be abandoned. And we need to reflect. This would not be considered as an extremist position. Rather, it is a kind of a defense that one can give to their beliefs. And this is what Ibrahim alayhi salam did. So, just to move quickly on that, I would just recite the holy verses so that you could have an idea that this is not a story that has been fabricated by me from my own, from my own memories. In fact, this is what Quran has stated in Surah Al-Anbiya. And look at what Allah Almighty has said. Allah Almighty has said, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ رُشْدَهُ. It is the wisdom, it is the vision that we have given to Ibrahim alayhi salam. وَكُنَّا بِهِ عَالِمِينَ. And before that they were not knowing it. إِذْ قَالَ لِأَبِيهِ وَقَوْمِهِ. And when Ibrahim told this thing to his nation and his father, that these are the examples that you rely upon, قَالُوا وَجَدْنَا آبَاءَنَا لَهَا عَبِدِينَ. They replied that this is what we found our forefathers in that, and they have been worshipping these fake gods over the centuries. لَقَدْ كُنْتُمْ وَآبَاؤُكُمْ فِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. And very straightforwardly and explicitly Ibrahim mentioned that you were on the wrong path. قَالُوا أَجِئْتَنَا بِالْحَقِّ أَمَنْتَ مِنَ اللاعبين. Do you know what is the right path, or are you playing with us or making mess with us? He said, قَالَ بَلْ رَبُّكُمْ. The true Lord of you and me is one who has created the heavens and the earth, and who has created them out of nothingness. And I'm bearing witness on that. وَتَاللَّهِ لَأَكِيدَنَّ أَصْنَامَكُمْ بَعْدَ أَن تُوَلُّوا مُدْبِرِينَ. And I will tell you this, I would demonstrate you this by an example, by showing you a plot. And what did he say? Then he said, فَجَعَلَهُمْ جُزَازًا إِلَّا كَبِيرًا لَهُمْ. He broke all idols into pieces except the bigger one, so that he could answer and they could investigate into that. قَالُوا مَنْ فَعَلَ هَذَا بِآلِهِنَا. When the nation came and they said that, who did that with our lords? إِنَّهُ لَمِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. He must be a person who is an oppressor. قَالُوا سَمِعْنَا. So they replied, they discussed among themselves, and they said, there is some guy by the name of Ibrahim. He must have done that. You call him. قَالُوا فَأْتُوا بِهِ. Bring him before the public, and let the public see how we treat with him. قَالُوا أَنْتَ فَعَلْتَ هَذَا بِآلِهَتِنَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ. Ibrahim, did you do that? He said, قَالَ بَلْ فَعَلَهُ كَبِيرُهُمْ. You know, the bigger God must have done it with them. فَاسْأَلُوهُمْ إِنْ كَانُوا يَنْتَقُونَ. Ask them if they can speak. And that was the demonstration. That was the demonstration that Ibrahim alayhi salam to this nation. But look at what was the response: the rigidity, the extremity, the bias that they were born with, they were practicing and cherishing. فَرَجَعُوا إِلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. They came back, discussed among themselves. إِنَّكُمْ أَنْتُمْ ظَالِمُونَ. He said that it is you who are doing this oppressive strategies to oppress and suppress the truth. لَقَدْ عَلِمْتَ مَا هَؤُلَاءِ يَنْتَقُونَ قَالَ فَتَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَنْفَعُكُمْ شَيْءٌ وَلَا يَضُرُّونَ. How would you justify the worshipping of these idols who neither speak nor talk to you? They can neither benefit you nor harm you. They can never be the Lord's. أُفِّ لَكُمْ. And fire on you. وَلِمَا تَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. And why do you worship except Allah Almighty these lords? Don't you think? Don't you reflect? Don't you do that? And then the nation decides that to throw Ibrahim into the fire to show people that if you disagree with me, I would make you an example for the coming generation. But look, this is where prophet's role must be understood. It were the prophets, it were the legacy of the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. At this juncture, any normal human being, any ordinary human being might have withdrawn from his belief, might have remained silent. But it was Ibrahim alayhi salam's courage and bravery and his brave gesture. He stood by his belief and he said that, yes, I would face that. If you're going to throw me into the fire, yes, I would face that. But I stand by my beliefs. I stand what I came with. And this is what God has handed out his mission to me, to make it and to set it as an example and to let you know that what is the right path. And these are the sacrifices that the prophets have given from time to time to the different nations. But it all depends on the nation. How do they treat prophets? How do they treat the teachings of the prophet? And I think from here we must extract good teachings. And what is it? What is it? That is whatever Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam has handed down to us in the form of Quran, in the form of ahadith, in the form of the practices of the entire ummah. We should honor it. And how can we honor it? We can honor it by one way, just to put that into practice and to do away from the extremist, unreflective, and irrational attitudes that we have with. And by irrational attitudes, what do I mean by that, and what could the ulama and the scholars might mean that, is that never bring your own private judgments, never bring your own personal opinions, never bring your own, I would say, biased opinions into the teachings of Islam. For example, what is required from the Muslim believer, from an ordinary Muslim believer, is what? That we should honor Islam in the first place, set it on our priority list on the top, and never bring our biased opinions and filter Islam through our biased opinion. Instead, we should bring Islam first and filter everything, even our own desires, from the teachings and the lenses of Islam. This is what is the objective of Islam. This is what the objective of everybody, every prophet who has come over here to help the Muslims and the other nations into this world. I would just try to summarize this entire discussion in Urdu, just 2 minutes, and then we will have our sunnas. سیدنا ابراہیم علیہ السلام کے حوالے سے بھی ہم نے گفتگو کی. وہ گفتگو یہ ہے کہ ہم نے پچھلی والی گفتگو سے اس کو جوڑا. پہلے ہم نے گفتگو یہ کی کہ جب ابراہیم علیہ السلام تشریف لائے تو بت پرستی تھی، لیکن بت پرستی کے ساتھ ساتھ ان کے ہاں ایک خاص قسم کی بت پرستی تھی، اور وہ یہ تھی کہ وہ سیاروں کی عبادت کرتے تھے. یعنی مثال کے طور پر ہمارے ہاں بھی آج کل یہ ہوتا ہے کہ لیو، جیمنائی، کینسر، اور پھر اس کی بنیاد کے اوپر ہم پرسنالٹی ٹریٹس کو دیکھتے ہیں، پھر اس کی بنیاد کے اوپر ہم ڈیسیجنز بھی لیتے ہیں، اور ہمارا آہستہ آہستہ کر کے یہ بلیو ہونا شروع ہو جاتا ہے کہ دراصل اگر ہماری زندگی میں کوئی تبدیلی آتی ہے، خوشی آتی ہے، غم آتا ہے، تو وہ ان سیاروں کی موومنٹ سے آتا ہے. اس سے ملتا جلتا ان کا جاننا تھا. تو حضرت ابراہیم علیہ السلام نے پہلے ہی موقع پر یہ بیان کیا کہ نہ ستارے ہماری زندگی میں کوئی اثر رکھتے ہیں، نہ سورج رکھتا ہے، نہ چاند رکھتا ہے، نہ کوئی اور چیز رکھتی ہے. وہ صرف خدائے وحدہ لا شریک ہے. اس کی حکمت ہوتی ہے، اس کا علم ہوتا ہے، اس کا ارادہ ہوتا ہے، جو کہ ہمیں پیدا بھی کرتا ہے، ہمیں مارتا بھی ہے، ہمیں نقصان بھی پہنچاتا ہے، ہمیں فائدہ بھی دیتا ہے، ہمیں بیمار بھی کرتا ہے، اور ہمیں اس بیماری سے شفا بھی دیتا ہے. تو ہر ایک چیز کا مصدر صرف اور صرف خدائے وحدہ لا شریک کی ذات ہے. جب یہ بیان کیا تو قوم نے حسب دستور ایک طرح کا رد عمل دیا کہ ہم یہ نہیں مانتے، ہمیں یہ بات سمجھ میں نہیں آتی. کیوں جی؟ آپ کو کیوں سمجھ میں نہیں آتی؟ اتنی سادہ سی بات ہے، اتنی واضح بات ہے، دلائل ہیں اس کے اوپر. اس لیے کو، اپنے دادا کو، اپنے پردادا کو، اپنے چچا کو، اپنے خاندان کو، اپنی قوم کو ہمیشہ اس حال میں دیکھا ہے. تو کیا ہماری قوم غلط تھی؟ کیا ہم اپنی قوم کی طرف پیٹھ کر دیں؟ کیا ہم اپنی قوم اور ان کی قربانیوں کو ختم کر دیں؟ تو حضرت ابراہیم نے جب یہ جواب دیکھا تو یقینی طور پر یہ جواب نہ خدا کو پسند آیا اور نہ ابراہیم علیہ السلام کو پسند آیا. کیوں؟ کیونکہ یہ واضح کیا ہے؟ گمراہی ہے. کہ آپ کو حق دکھلایا جائے تو آپ کہیں نہیں، میں تو یہ نہیں مانتا کیونکہ میں تو ہمیشہ سے یہ کرتا آیا ہوں. تو پھر حضرت ابراہیم علیہ السلام نے دوسرا طریقہ اپنایا کہ شاید، دیکھیے یہ ہے انبیاء کی شان، کہ اگر ایک راستہ ہدایت کا بند ہو جائے تو وہ اتنی رحمت کرتے ہیں کہ وہ دوسری طرح بھی سمجھانے کی کوشش کرتے ہیں. تو ابراہیم علیہ السلام نے دوسرا طریقہ یہ اختیار کیا کہ جن خداؤں کی وہ پوجا کرتے ہیں ذرا ان کی طاقت کا تو اظہار کیا جائے، یا تو یہ بتایا جائے ان کو بالکل دکھا کر کہ یہ تو طاقت ہے ہی نہیں ان کے اندر، نہ یہ نقصان دے سکتے ہیں، نہ یہ فائدہ دے سکتے ہیں، یہ نہ اپنا دفاع کر سکتے ہیں. تو آپ نے یہ طریقہ کار اپنایا کہ ایک دن وہ ذرا مشغول تھے کسی میلے وغیرہ میں اور اس طرح کی ہیں چیزیں، تو جب وہ غائب تھے تو آپ تشریف لائے ان کے عبادت گاہ کے اندر، ان کے جھوٹے خداؤں کو توڑ دیا. جب توڑا تو ایک ان کے جھوٹے خدا کو انہوں نے چھوڑ دیا اور اس کے ہاتھ میں کلہاڑی پکڑا دی، اور تاکہ یہ تاثر جائے کہ شاید انہوں نے کیا ہے. جب وہ واپس آئے، دریافت کیا، ابراہیم علیہ السلام کو بلایا گیا اور پوچھا گیا کیا تم نے کیا ہے؟ تو آپ نے کہا بھائی مجھ سے کیا پوچھتے ہو، اپنے خدا سے پوچھو، یہ ہے نا تمہارا بڑا خدا، اس سے پوچھو کہ کیا اس نے توڑا ہے، بظاہر تو ایسے ہی لگ رہا ہے، اور یہ جو خدا تھے ان سے بھی پوچھو. تو انہوں نے کہا نہیں، ہمیں تو یہ پتہ ہے کہ نہ یہ کچھ کر سکتا ہے نہ وہ کچھ کر سکتے ہیں، تو ابراہیم علیہ السلام نے یہ فرمایا کہ اگر یہ کچھ کر ہی نہیں سکتے تو پھر ان کو خدا کیوں مانتے ہو؟ اتنی تو سادہ سی بات ہے، تو پھر ان کو خدا کیوں مانتے ہو جو نہ اپنا دفاع کر سکتے ہیں، جو نہ اپنی حفاظت کر سکتے ہیں، جو نہ کچھ کہہ سکتے ہیں، نہ جو کچھ کر سکتے ہیں، وہ خدا کیسے ہوتے ہیں؟ تم تو ان سے بہتر ہو۔ جب یہ بتایا، اس کے باوجود بھی آپ دیکھیے کہ تعصب کی عینک ان کی آنکھوں سے نہ ہٹی، اور انہوں نے کہا کہ تم ہمارے بارے میں گفتگو کرتے ہو، تم ہوتے کیا ہو؟ ہم تمہاری اوقات دلائیں گے، نعوذ باللہ۔ اور پھر اس بات کا فیصلہ کیا گیا کہ کیوں نہ ان کو آگ کے اندر ڈالا جائے۔ انشاءاللہ اس کے اوپر مزید گفتگو کریں گے۔ آئیے سنتیں ادا کرتے ہیں۔ السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ۔